Wemby is where we begin our show today. Victor and the Spurs took on the Sixers last night and finished with 17 points, 3 blocks in his first 16 minutes of play. So everything, it seemed like it was going to be normal for the MVP candidate until about 11 minutes left in the second, right? That is when we're going to show it to you right here. Wemby, he collides with Paul George on this play. He goes to the locker room. He did not return with what the Spurs are calling a rib contusion. So the most plugged-in man in basketball, Shams Charania, is here with the latest. Shams, are the Spurs bracing for Victor to miss any sort of time here?
I'm told the Spurs are not anticipating this to be a major injury. He underwent x-rays last night on that rib, and x-rays for Victor Wembanyama returned negative, I'm told. And so he will be undergoing more testing later today. But there is hope and optimism that those tests will confirm what they felt last night was that the anticipation is nothing major. Okay, so a bit of an exhale here, at least in terms of anything major for Victor and the Spurs. But, Tim, you cover this team incredibly closely, and sometimes you got to protect players from themselves, particularly because the Spurs aren't looking to win the regular season. They're looking for something bigger. So what is San Antonio weighing before he returns?
Well, listen, Wemby cares about the award, so it is a priority for the organization. He needs to play at least 20 minutes in one more game to be eligible for the awards. I will be shocked if he does not do that. He's going to hit that 65-game minimum. Now, they do have a little bit of a cushion here because they played in the NBA Cup final, which counts towards that. But, again, it's more of a day-to-day type injury, fortunately. I don't think they're going to have to put him out there when he's hurt. But he's going to hit the awards minimum. All right.
In San Antonio, we know if they are nothing but conservative in these sorts of cases, right? So they're not going to put a player out there that isn't ready to return, particularly someone as important as Victor Wembanyama. But you bring up the awards. It's impossible not to have these two things coincide. So Wemby, Luka Doncic, right? Only one game away from qualifying for award eligibility. These are some of the other notable players as we talk about that 65-game minimum that feels like it's coming up a lot. Nikola Jokic, he needs to play in 2 more games of the Nuggets' final 3 to be eligible. You got Kawhi Leonard, right? He needs to play in 3 of the Clippers' last 4 games here. So this is a conversation that is really heating up around the NBA. Our NBA champ, Iman Shumpert, beaming in for this conversation. Shump, I'm curious. It feels like every time a deserving, nearly qualified player goes down, we're talking about this 65-game minimum. It comes under scrutiny. Do you think it needs to change, though?
You know me, I'm not willing to bend or break rules like that. I grew up with my dad telling me if you can't do it, if you want to do it, you got to do it on your terms in your house. If you're going to be in this house, you got to do it this way. That's how a rule works. I think that if the NBA bends now, they'll have to keep bending forever, and then eventually you're going to have to scrap the rule. And I think the rule was in place for a certain reason.
Yeah.
In my book, you gotta stick hard with the rule. I know it's gonna have every year things are gonna change as far as people being on the borderline. Some people are gonna have their argument and their case for it, but if you do that and you start bending over, then it's after a while you're gonna have to scrap it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Shump. I don't think it's something that needs to bend, but it can shift. And we're all old school guys, want to see you guys play, want them to see healthy. But there should be a grace period, and it could be a minute restriction thing we talked about. If you do the math, you got to get 20 minutes per game, or at least 25 minutes. If you do that by 82, it's a little over 1,600 minutes. If you clock it at 17 or 1,800 minutes for guys to be qualified or eligible, I think that kind of changes or shifts the case to make it somewhat feasible for these guys, because a lot of these guys are very much playing a lot of minutes. LeBron James has played more minutes than Wemby, but he's ineligible.
But you think there needs to be some sort of shift?
Some type of shift to help make this rule more feasible.
Well, I crank it up to 2,000, that amount of minutes. But you see that list. There is no world that you can tell me Cade Cunningham is not one of the top 15 most impactful players in the league this season. He's the primary reason the Detroit Pistons are the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. I mean, and Edwards, nobody's wondering, is he, forget top 15, he's a top 10 player. Cade's probably a top 5 player. I get it. You wanted to get rid of load management.
Yeah,
that is
the
important, right? And it has served that intent. But in cases like this, these are not load management issues. Cade Cunningham suffered a collapsed lung diving on the floor for a loose ball, and that's going to cost him All-NBA. That's not right. If there is a significant injury, I do feel like you should be able to qualify via minutes.
It was an issue, right? The resting healthy players for nationally televised games, the load management, it's something that needed to be addressed. And this rule has done that, right? It has done what it is intended to do in that sense. However, you're also then getting players who are almost there, who maybe by an arbitrary 1 or 2 games are so close, and the fallout of this is you're also having players who wouldn't necessarily qualify for All-NBA then be in that conversation, and all of a sudden teams are looking at their bill come max dollar time, and it's looking a little bit different. But the question is, are you hearing that the NBA, considering this has gotten loud, I think, in the last couple of weeks, Shams, are they willing to make any sort of changes to the rule?
Malika, you saw Adam Silver at the Board of Governors. He was pretty clear that he believes that the rule doesn't really need changing, that it's working. And I think the league office seems to share that sentiment. But then the NBPA comes out with a statement that they feel like this needs to be abolished. I will say that the NBPA, their leadership, they agreed to this rule. Some of the membership there did advocate for it, but that doesn't mean that, hey, we can't go back and amend it, to tweak it, to figure out, is there a solution? Because like, Tim, you just said, Cade Cunningham, there's other examples. Luka Doncic leaving for 2 games for a birth of a child abroad. Anthony Edwards is another example. Victor Wembanyama, let's say Victor Wembanyama has to sit the next week to get ready for the playoffs. For example, like, we're really going to keep him away from All-NBA team. Is there I don't know what the solution is, but is there a solution, an asterisk, something that can allow the players, something to be amended that will allow guys like this to still have an equal opportunity?
Right.
That's what I think there will be maybe some more conversation about this summer, but I don't think we're going to see a groundbreaking change here.
Right, and that's the sense I'm getting. Go ahead, Shump.
I believe wholeheartedly that I have not heard anything better than what Danny said as far as the minutes being able to stack up and that being your case that you can make. I love that. Besides that, though, making it a qualifying factor, I think that when you implement a rule, you have to stick to it. Otherwise, people are going to walk all over it.
That's fair. And talking to agents this morning, I said, is this rule a net negative or a net positive? No one was willing to say that it was a net negative at this point. So there are things that it is doing as intended. All right, we're going to get to more of this later. This is going to be a loud conversation over the next week, but why don't we get some action, right? Look at the Eastern Conference. This race, it's as tight as it gets, 6 through 10. They're separated by only, 2 games? And we have 6 days remaining in the regular season. Well, the Hawks and Knicks, they played in what could be a playoff preview here, and this one was fun. Maybe the best game of the night. Under is where we pick it up here. Jalen Johnson driving to the paint, slamming it.
Athletic.
Slamming it on OG Anunoby.
That's an All-NBA player.
Yeah, the Hawks bench, loving it. And then Brunson here, kicks it out to Anunoby for 3, knocks it down. Nice shot to finish the quarter there. Let's go ahead to the 4th here. Under 4 minutes left to play here. Watch this little bounce pass to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Tim, he has been such a big pickup for the Hawks.
Yeah, he's been huge. Should be most improved player. More than doubled his scoring average after being a really good role player.
And he had a game-high 36 points here in this game. So under 3 minutes left in the 4th. Here we go. Karl-Anthony Towns. It's this action that's so lethal. Hands it off to Brunson. Shoots the 3. Nails it. And then under a minute left in the 4th. Brunson again gets to his spot. Attacks.
Defense, better offense.
Better bounce.
The Brunson burner is now lit. CJ McCollum gets the inbound pass. He's cooking at the right time. Here's the Hawks. They trail by 1.2 seconds left. McCollum, he's got it going. He gets it to go. But as you can see, as fans are shocked, the ball, it's still on his fingertips, just as time
We gotta amend that. Can we amend that?
There's no amending that. The light's on.
The Hawks, they fall short, but man, that highlight lives on in our minds. The New York Knicks, they get the win by 3. Let's take a look, though, at New York, right? Because Brunson scored 17 in the 4th. Finally, he's looking like himself again. It's the most in a 4th quarter this season. He outscored the Hawks as a team, 14-13 in clutch time here. So, Shump, you know the Knicks better than most. We talk about playing your best basketball in April. So what is the best basketball? What is New York at its best?
I mean, right now, you're seeing flashes of it.
Okay.
I think that we've seen some things all year that have encouraged us. One thing being that even though they are up and down, they are still having a 50-win season. So there are positives. But when you look at the team that they put together and everything that they had to do to put this team together, you look at Mikal Bridges and say you need more. The fun thing about this is, as we look at it, the pistol action. We finally got to see at the end of a game Cat and Brunson playing off of each other, a a two-man game. Pick your poison, who you want to do it to you. And when you get that at the end of the game, that's the promise that I like. That's what gets me going, saying, hey, we're going into these playoffs, and we kind of know now at the end of the game, are we going to get some Jalen Brunson pinch post action? Are we going to get some pistol action on the sideline? And if we do get it and we get Jalen Brunson flying off that thing like a bat out of hell, who going to stop it?
Right. And Rishabh's like, and this is what I'm glad that I'm not in there. It's not going to be me. Hey, if that pistol action, if it is half as sharp as your suit today, Shump, is that a tuxedo,